Alright guys, so Fula coming to you with another video. Shout outs to the whole LDBC. Um, I know I said I was gonna leave nature not alone, but I was just thinking about something like in sitting in my store. Um, because I was listening to something and it was kind of like very important, which I was listening to. There's there's like a big difference between like being in a natural disposition and actually being in nature, and the more important one and the sounder one is being in a natural disposition. And you know when we say natural disposition, that means that you are balanced in every part of your being. That means that, the fire, the passion of fire is balanced to a normal level. The knowledge of water is balanced to another level, to a normal level, and that the wind of life is balanced to a normal level, and that the earth of strength is balanced to another level. Like all of these things are being in harmony with you, in your natural being. And the thing is about that is that this does not come from being in the tropics. This does not come from, how should I say it, being like, I want to say, going closer to the equator or doing something like that. That it doesn't occur in that way. It occurs from you recognizing, what you have to work on and where there's an imbalance in your life. It's not going to just all of a sudden become balanced out and you going to closer to the equator and quote unquote being in tune with nature, as Nature Nut says. It doesn't really work like that. Because if that was the case, right? If it was the case that all everybody had to do was to go to the tropics, if all everybody had to do was go to closer to the equator, this, that, and the other, then his face wouldn't be falling apart. They wouldn't have all that white stuff around their mouth and all that foam around their mouth. They wouldn't have gotten lice, and three women said that they contracted an STD from Nature Boy. So that's far from being natural, you know what I mean? And then we got to look at the fact that someone died over there. It may God give her family patience, but someone died over there, and that just shows that nothing is in balance over there. Another thing about it is that we have to look at the fact that the sun pretty much shines everywhere. Sun, some places it shines more at, some places it shines less at, but still you're going to get like an adequate amount of sunlight, no matter where you are. Or if you don't get as much sunlight as you want, then you should, you should move to a place where you can get that sunlight, but that place doesn't necessarily have to be, somewhere in quote unquote the tropics. You don't have to do that. But I mean, if you want to do it, if there is a benefit over there for you that doesn't include begging people for donations and does not include like making how should I put it, a basically soft porno movie, then yeah, more power to you. You should go ahead and do it. That's just bottom line. If you have that chance to do it. Now, there's something I want to read that goes back to being on in the natural disposition. I'm gonna try to find out where the excerpt is, because it kind of explains everything. Yeah, here it goes right here. That the thing is that Nature Boy and Carbonation are not on a natural disposition, no matter what kind of tropics they live in. As I said before, if you were on a natural disposition, you wouldn't be looking like I don't know, like your face wouldn't look like a Stouffer's pizza, basically. And that's what I noticed with all their faces. All their faces are breaking out. All their faces are getting pimples and discolorment. And I mean, again, if you have, to be honest with you, that's kind of bizarre that you would get lice in the quote unquote tropics. That's like really bizarre, because even like in my village in Africa, we never ever had a report of lice. We never ever had a report of lice at all, not even once. And the women have long hair. The women have braids and things, this, that, and the other. And sometimes the men have braids too. Now, I was saying that existence is constructed on four foundations: a divine foundation, a spiritual foundation, a celestial foundation, and a natural foundation. And the natural foundation is the one that existence emerges. But it cannot be perfect except for a harmony in the four elements that I named before: fire, air, water, and earth. And the thing is about this is that, in order for this natural disposition to happen, the temperaments have to be hot, dry, hot, wet, and cold, dry. And there have to be a balance of this. This has to be a balanced mixture, and that's and that will enable like a person to be quote unquote in tune with nature without necessarily with living in the Big Apple. We're living somewhere like Los Angeles. We're living somewhere like in Chicago. Because when these things are brought together in the right way, then the spirit, the reason, the soul, and his physiognomy will be all in harmony with one another. And so this is why this is why I don't like. I will never subscribe to these pseudosciences that these people throw out. Because of the simple fact that People can talk about Babylon all they want. People can talk about, oh, this Babylon system's going down. People can talk about this, that, and the other. But, you know, God creates natural disasters as well. You're not immune from that kind of thing. And so this is why I encourage people to just be still. And what I mean by be still is just relax and just try to keep your heart as tranquil as possible. And you'll find that, these elements will balance out, and you won't necessarily have to, quote unquote, go to the tropics and, join this nut. But I mean, at the end of the day, I made a video the other day saying that he's gonna self-destruct, and he is. I called it, and I'm not speaking it into existence, but I just know it's gonna be happening sooner or later that he's gonna self-destruct. I think a lot of his social media accounts were blocked, and the the social constrictions will happen, but then the physical constrictions will happen to him pretty soon. And already hear it, when I do like browse, or when I do entertain myself a little bit with his stupid shenanigans. I mean, I hear it in how he laughs. That even how he laughs, he's losing his breath. His lungs are like kind of like they're not really producing that. But I mean, as I said, it's a matter of time, and I just don't. I just think that more people just need to look, as I said, like within themselves. Like, I mean, everything is in you. Everything. You don't need to like follow a guy who like basically doesn't even look the part he's preaching. I mean, look at him. I mean, he looks like I don't know if you guys watch Batman, but it's like his face is falling apart like Clayface or something. Like it looks like that he, like, even his body. I mean, I don't check out men. Don't get it twisted. I don't check out men or anything like that. But I mean, even his body looks like it's like melting, basically. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Clayface from Batman. And that's what it is. And I mean, the women over there, people like gas them up and say they're so pretty and stuff like that, but they're not really pretty. I mean, especially now that it's safe to say that they pretty much have a virus, and that's because they're not on a natural disposition, but also because they contracted it from that dude. But if you were on a natural disposition, chances are you're not going to have problem with viruses. You're not going to have problem with your face breaking out or anything of that nature. And you're pretty much going to be like in harmony with everything. You'll everything will click, basically. And so you don't need to go anywhere else to make everything click. That's what I'm trying to say. You can make everything click where you are, Now, don't get me wrong. There is a certain, like, I want to say there are certain advantages of going to a like tropical place and whatnot. But in order to realize those advantages, you have to work. That's the thing. You have to work the land. You have to, cultivate. You have to work pretty hard. It's just something you can't like just sit around and say, okay, well, I can. Basically, there's no such thing as a Garden of Eden now in today's world. The first known humans, Adam and Hawa, may God's peace be upon them. They had the luxury of, being in a garden where everything was there for them. But that just does not exist in today's world. You're going to have to cultivate, you're going to have to plant, you're going to have to build some things, you're going to have to work. Even if you do want to live like that, it just doesn't, you're not just going to be dropped off somewhere and just, live there. There's still governments, governments still have a control over things. And so, those governments are going to still regulate rural areas and stuff like that. Sure, rural areas do enjoy a kind of sense of semi-autonomy, but still, it's still part of a Babylon, a quote-unquote Babylon government. So, as I said before, you can, it's better to have a natural disposition in Babylon, quote unquote Babylon, than it is to have an unnatural, unbalanced disposition in nature. Because if anything, nature will trigger it to become even more imbalanced. The thing is, if the passion of fire is overtaking you, the sun is just gonna furthermore activate that passion of fire, and you're gonna explode. So that's all I have to really say about the whole thing. A natural disposition, you will find that, a natural disposition is a progressive disposition as well. Showing walking around naked, showing nudity on social media and stuff like that, and calling it living in tune with nature, it's not, it doesn't work like that. It's just in essence like soft porn, because in a natural disposition, you're going to want to progress, and part of progress is being clothed when it's an appropriate time to be clothed. Things like that should be kept in private. Even the first man and woman, after a while, they started to put on clothes. Let's just look at the hunter and gatherers. They started to hunt animals for furs to stay warm. You're not going to do that in a Arctic climate, and the fact that you're doing it in a tropical climate means that you're just furthermore outbreaking, basically, because again, you're not in a natural disposition. But that's all I gotta say, man. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments, man. These are just things I observe in my things of laughing at this clown. Because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie, I do enjoy laughing at him, and I do enjoy ridiculing him and things like that. It doesn't it's just something that I enjoy doing, while I'm like killing some time. You know what I mean? Don't think that like I'm don't think that I just like this is what my thing revolves around. As you saw in my last video, I believe I have a store, I have customers, I have clientele, and I have other things that I am doing. I wear many hats. I wear entrepreneur hat, I wear the athlete hat, and I wear the seeker hat. So this is pretty much all I got, man. Leave your thoughts and leave your comments. Fuller signing out. Njada.